All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here for Power Lunch here in March of 2021, and we're looking forward to this awesome presentation. This month we're talking Let's Talk Better Branding with Amy Loken and Connie Croskin. Amy has a business called Mood Modular, where she uses a three-dimensional approach to building a visually engaging environment. Um, Along with many other things, she helps out with people feeling more confident during their Zoom calls and online meetings and things like that. And we're very happy to have her with us. Connie Croskin has a business called CKC Consulting, and she helps small business owners build an engaging brand that drives more engagement. She specializes in developing strong brands so that prospects can appreciate and value what is being offered. And we're looking forward to having them speak for us today. And while they're speaking, I would like to ask everybody to keep their mics muted. I know that today is going to be a kind of open discussion, so I'm sure there's going to be periods where we're all going to have our turn to talk. So just be ready for that. And with that out of the way, if you guys don't have a microphone, feel free to type in the chat, and we'll have a handout in the chat for everybody to download as we go along as well. So with that out of the way, I'll let you ladies take the mic here.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm happy you're here. And I want to talk about how we decided to do this, how it came about. And Amy and I got on a call. I don't even remember why anymore. I don't know if you do, Amy, but
we were looking for that accountability kind of.
Right. We were going to be accountability partners. Do you remember that, Lori? When we started talking about that, like last year at some point? Anyway, we had this really great conversation about branding for like an hour, and we're just going, in very complimentary, 2 hours was it? Very complimentary perspectives, and thought, man, wish we'd recorded this, because I feel like this would help a lot of people, a lot of small business owners with their own branding. And so we just kind of took off with that idea of sharing our perspectives. We do come from different but complementary perspectives. So I'll give you a little bit of my background, and Amy can give you a little bit more about hers. I come from the ad agency world. I spent most of my career as an art director, creative director. I was also in-house at Nordic Track and Wolters Kluwer Financial Services, which is a huge software conglomerate. And we're selling to bank presidents and owners. In the ad agency world, I had brands like 3M was one of my accounts, Lay's potato chips, Campbell's Soup was one of my accounts. I did some work for them that was favorably noted in POP magazine, Point of Purchase. So it's all really been focused on the two-dimensional world, the flat world, and the way that we communicate about our brand. I've always been focused on branding almost from the very beginning, because I realized right away that that is what can make a big difference for people. And when you look at any of your marketing, you can either spend a bucket load of money on it, or you can work on your branding to better differentiate and help people appreciate the value. So anyway, that's my background and perspective, is very two-dimensional. So Amy's, over this way, you're on my screen, whichever way she is on your screen, in the Brady Bunch, comes from a three-dimensional world.
Absolutely. And, so my background's actually in industrial design, and I actually spent over the 27 years. So I'm slowly catching up to you, Lori, in the 40. But definitely the last 27 years I have spent in the design industry. So thinking differently and reimagining spaces. So a huge portion of that was spent in the shopping center industry doing retail design and visual merchandising. So talk about the understanding of branding and marketing. And we will definitely get into the myth that they are the same thing, because they are definitely not. But being in that space definitely led me to thinking three-dimensionally and developing, the unique three-dimensional display system that definitely allows brands to stand out, whether they are online or in person. So really giving you that three-dimensional view of yourself, your brand, your products on a two-dimensional surface. So that is a little bit about me. And speaking of branding and marketing, my philosophy on the truth that they are definitely different is branding is the ID, the identification that you carefully create. And marketing is how you show that identification, that ID to the world. And Connie does a beautiful job of taking you on once you craft that, because branding is deeply, deeply personal. And it should be, because it's how you tell your story.
Exactly.
Right?
That's my thing. It's brand marketing invites people in. Branding is the reason they engage. Short and sweet. Okay. It's the story of your brand. It's the story of your business that's communicated similarly everywhere, so that you've got that consistency going, that consistency of that brand story. And so what we need to be doing now, I want to jump into that if you're good, Amy, because I think this is so important. COVID changed things dramatically in the marketing world and in the branding world. And the way that changed was that we have to work harder at building relationships, because it's tougher in this kind of an environment where we don't get eye-to-eye contact, which means as human beings, we don't get those social cues that we depend on from each other. By the way, sidebar, millennials and people on their phone all the time, they get their social cues from that social media interaction. Us older generations get it from personal interactions. But it's important because I'm going to read this. This is one of my favorite magazines, Wired magazine. Anybody else a fan? This is the July issue. Yeah, Beatrice. There's a paragraph in here about the Zoom meetings that's important. The benefits are obvious. No time lost getting to work, more flexibility for workers to care for children and elders, big savings on office leases, Lori, and with fewer cars commuting on roads and fewer business travelers in the skies, way less carbon burned. So we are realizing the benefits of this, right? Okay, here's the very impactful thing. Proof of concept is in the bag. Silicon Valley is now gearing up to make remote conferencing our permanent reality. There are a number of tech companies in Silicon Valley that are working on enhancing and expanding on this virtual experience. It's not going away, not by any stretch. We've all been able to do business, farther and wider than we have been. But so because we have to, did somebody want to say something? Thought I heard something. Okay, sorry. What's that? No,
there was just some feedback. But
okay.
COVID really has brought a bunch of challenges, regardless of industry, and it really has universally brought business challenges that, of how our brand is going to show up, whether it's online, in video, on camera, anywhere, everywhere, and anytime, and leading to a little bit of what you were saying there, Connie, with millennials and us older generation. They're used to being on their phones. If you think about it, back when I was born and growing up, like, you had your first year picture, and then you didn't have another professional photo until first grade, kindergarten. Now, if you think about it, ultrasounds are actually, having pretty realistic photos of them taken before they're even born.
Yeah. So working harder at building relationships. So when we're meeting like this, especially in business meetings, business networking, and that kind of thing, your presence, this whole square, Brady Bunch square that you're seeing, has become your brand promise.
Mhm.
Okay, if you think about that for a minute, if your brand is the story of your business, what kind of story are you telling people in this brand promise? This is why it's becoming more important,
Well,
because we want people to be able to live up to their brand promise.
absolutely. And how you tell that story visually is that first impression that people are getting. So when you first pop up in those little squares, that is what people are viewing and understanding of your story, your brand, before you even speak. And sometimes you don't even speak in the Brady Bunch squares.
So we're not saying you absolutely have to do this, that everybody has to do this. No, that's not what we're saying. It's not practical for everybody. If you just don't care, that's okay. You don't have to care. I met with my personal trainer on video, though, and she wasn't wearing a hoodie. She was in, I think, the back room of her workout studio, but wearing a nice zip-up sports, athletic style jacket. So you don't have to go all the way. You don't have to wear a suit like Amy. You don't have to do the whole button-down thing every time. But do think about who you're meeting with and what that story is that you want to tell. I'm the first to admit, when I'm meeting with friends, or I know it's just going to be Amy and I don't have any other meetings for the day, this looks a lot different. And that's okay. That's okay. We know each other. It's a safe environment, not a big deal.
And COVID has definitely helped in allowing us to share a little bit more of our personal selves. It's giving us a peek into who we really are. And we have that ability now to even build those relationships even deeper, because we're able to take a peek behind the scenes, so to speak. So I'm a firm believer, and I do get up and I do fully dress up as if I'm going to see anybody. And Connie and I met the other day, and yep, and she's like, well, I'm glad you showed up for me because I didn't necessarily. And it's like, that's fine. But and thank God I did that day, because I had an unexpected virtual call with a potential client from California. So had I not been, I would have been, well, thank God, in my home, so I could have run to my bedroom and completely got dressed, but then that would have taken me off my other tasks that I had already scheduled for that day. So it's about being prepared. And
okay, so if you think about that contrast for a second. Okay, Amy and I in our meeting yesterday, she's looking to somewhat similar to the, that she does today. Not that she was wearing the same thing. That's not what I'm saying. But so she's dressed all nice and buttoned down and everything like this. And I'm wearing this sort of gray sweatshirty slouchy thing because I'm feeling sorry for myself because I have to move and I don't want to move. Okay, the woman who I rent this place from has decided to sell and I can't blame her. But I'm not done feeling sorry for myself about it yet. So, but that was reflected, wasn't it?
yeah,
The way that I was dressed, the way that I looked, and it was like I had this epiphany this moment. You and I started talking about how we were dressed differently, and I'm like, I look like how I feel.
and sometimes that's okay, but to get yourself out of that rut is to dress how you want to be feeling. Maybe not how you're feeling at that moment, but to get you over that hump and get started. And you know what? I used to wear heels a lot. Anybody who remembers and knows me well knows that I love to be in heels. Full disclosure, today I am not. However, I do usually have a pair of high heels under my desk because it gives me that little extra boost of confidence sometimes. So
Beatrice put up a comment here that she likes being in the office. She keeps a blouse under the table for unexpected meetings. What a good idea. Should we talk about the props and the things that we have in that desk, Amy? So we started comparing, right? I mean, just start showing, here's my hand lotion, here's my lip gloss, cough drop, fan that goes in my phone, glasses cleaner, shoulder pads if I'm looking too slouchy. I mean, it's all there when, you're realizing I do got to get it together for this. And Amy and I, realized we both did the same thing too, especially on those days when it's back to back to back Zoom meetings. I'll come on, I set an alarm for 5 minutes before the meeting so that I can double check, is everything, the way I want it to be? Am I presentable? Or does my hair go all wonky, whatever. And in the morning too, I'll take a few minutes and just open up Zoom. I mean, if you click on start a meeting, you'll get just your big head, your big talking head there. And you can double check before getting rolling in all of these meetings. And I have found that to be really valuable. And again, we're not saying that you have to do this every time, or that that everybody should be. That's not by any stretch what we're saying. We're saying, though, what is your brand story? And what do you want other people to garner from that when they see you? This is the only impression they're going to have of you for many people.
Well, and it could be their only impression, again, because we don't always all speak up on the Brady Bunch or the Hollywood Squares, whichever camp you may be in. Have a foot in both of remembering them, but it's about showing up as yourself, but your most professional self, and allowing your set to reflect some of that personality, both of you and your branding, because this little square is what people are remembering of you. And you do want to be remembered for the right things, and not, we all want that 15 seconds of fame at some point in time, but you certainly don't want it when you've only half dressed and you accidentally stand up and don't turn your camera off, and then you become the sensation. And yes, Kim and Beatrice and all of you who are laughing know exactly what I'm talking about. You get, caught in your boxers, you guys, and gals, I mean, it happens. So if you take the time to prepare, you don't have to worry about those mishaps.
Do you want to talk about what you did for your hubby for his set?
The fact that he is currently in our guest room closet. Hi, Chris.
Who would know?
But it's understanding what your environment, because your environment, not just what your audience is seeing, it's also how you are feeling in that space, that really can help dive deeper into building those deeper relationships and helping people understand. So yes, Chris initially started out at our dining room table, and eventually we redid our, guest room closet, and it has made, and Chris, you're more than welcome to, jump on. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I know, and I apologize for putting you on the spot, but do you want to just offer up how that made you feel? Did you feel different?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those where I don't know if it was, it's kind of one of those where I don't want to get too deep into it, but I struggled because I typically am one of those people in this world that my office was my car, right? So I would drive to meetings 3, 4, 5 days a week. Now I go to meetings and drive to meetings 3, 4, 5 times a month, right? So there was a bit of a mental transition for me on how to work in this new world. And then one of the things that I figured out is we had a large amount of people coming over, so I had to dismantle the dining room office. And when we kind of came back to it, I really didn't realize it, even though I felt I had a really nice professional setup. People commented, It just, I didn't have a space, and I didn't have a space for my business. And I used to have an office. You know, I can still go to my office. My company's actually eliminating our offices as a result of the work from home in the typical office that I went to. But I always kind of had this space where I could land. Well, the problem is when my landing space was the dining room table, and I might be watching TV or making something in the kitchen or whatever, my office was always right there in my space. So one of the things that really helped me was to have my own space in the house. And I know it's tough, and not everybody may have that blessing, but it's one of those things where that was huge. And then how do we make this work was, you know, because, you know, we're reimagining I think everybody's reimagining their spaces a little bit these days, you know, and so we said, you know, here's a nice way to have some that to be compartmentalized. So when I go to work, I come in the office, right? My office, you know, how do I get that visual presence in the closet? Actually has worked out fantastic. I get a lot of compliments. I shine above. I work with a lot of my peers. I work with a lot of clients. I work with a lot of people who are and I do a lot of vendor management. So everybody's twice, 3 times a week, everybody's like, how do you look? You look so great. How did you do this? What did you do? And then the other thing is I've always made it a commitment since this happened, and I have my days, right? I have my wind shirt days and golf shirt days. And, you know, we get to summer, I usually wear a golf shirt to most of my meetings. But when this started, I said, I'm not going to change how I dress. My dry cleaning bill hasn't gone down by that much. Let's just say that. Now, do I kind of wear blue jeans into the office a lot more? Yes, I do that. I'm not sitting in a full 3-piece suit every day. But that meant that for me, that's always been, you lock in, have a nice dress shirt on, have a sport coat or a suit coat on. We're locked in and we're going to work, right? And I was doing that when I was working from the dining room. But I will tell you, by getting my own space and really owning the space, it's really helped me to be more productive at home. Okay. Hopefully I didn't talk too long.
Oh, no, that was fantastic. And I want to say, nice job of having the branding behind you, much like I do.
Lori has a
Yes.
It helps to have some people who are really good at it, who you know really, really well.
Everybody else too. Let's open it up. Lori, or raise your hand if you want to comment or ask or something. Lori, yeah.
I just needed to unmute myself. One of the things I was going to say is, let's face it, my business is all about workspace and workspace solutions. So I didn't want to be on Zoom calls in my home office. Mentally, I didn't. I mean, you know, coming home and working from home has really done a lot for me, and it's made me focus, and we've spent less time on the road and traveling between 7 locations. And so I would see Amy at the very beginning. She helped me with some of the pieces, a couple of pieces that I have behind me right now, but I take them down because my office background. But I have another piece that folds behind me that I've used when I've done presentations for people, and I will be using next week when I do, 2 weeks from now, when I do the Woodbury Chamber of Commerce event and some of the other ones. But I've noticed that when I get on calls with people within my industry, vendors, whomever it is, there are very few people, even when they're working in their physical office location or in their home office location, that actually have anything tagged or anything about their company behind them. And many people have commented to me, oh, I can see your dog. I see OffiCenters. I see Work Awesome. Even when I'm just doing friends calls, how many people have said, I should really do a little bit to make my background better. Or people who use a certain background. I know that one of our vendors, Joe Pepka, who is his IT vendor, uses a screen background because he doesn't want anyone to see the office computer parts and everything else that's behind him. So
however, Joe's missing out on a really valuable part by not sharing the computer scene, because that's what he does. He takes the
that would work for him.
It would really help tell his story. And I love Joe, and I you know, everybody's all, you know, intrigued by, you know, him on a beach and everything, but that would tell a little bit more story about his his branding and what he does.
Yeah. Deborah's telling an interesting story by being in a spaceship.
I love Zoom backgrounds. I know that they're not everybody's favorite. I do like the branding of the Johnson Financial Group, by the way. But I just wanted to say I've paid a lot of attention to even television these days. And we get a little, you know, I'm a fan of the PBS NewsHour, and Mark Shields always looked like he was in a tiny little closet crammed with books. And it kind of endeared him to me. And some of the correspondents have cats, and where's your cat today? You know.
Oh, we all love to see the pets, don't we?
But
Amy, do you want to show the progression of? Oh no, Lori's got something else here. No, okay. Do you want to?
Dog barking. That's all.
Oh.
Sorry.
We don't need to hear the dog barking, but we love to see them.
I was going to say for me, because I speak on behalf of many of my clients, sometimes kind of in webinars or trainings, I swap out my background monthly. And so it's interesting because right before this call, Amazon delivered what will be my April background, but I've swapped them out monthly. So I'm in New Jersey, and especially before we had daylight savings time, when you get to that, 3:30 hour, it would start to get dark, but no one would know. Or if it was snowing, whatever, no one would know. So this is actually just a kind of photo canvas that with, maybe about 6 thumbtacks is tacked to the back of my wall. And I kind of swapped them out. So this was 1 month. So it's like kind of a, what do you call this? Kind of bookcase. And I've even had, I'll just kind of walk you up around. I've even had a, kind of background that's like a cityscape. And so each month I swap them out, and I do kind of, because they're easy with thumbtacks, I will sometimes, if I'm speaking in a hosted webinar for myself, just put kind of, something at the back that has the branding. And kind of to Chris's point about doing something in a closet, one of my colleagues in Atlanta actually bought one of those clothing poles where you kind of have a clothing rack, and she bought one of these and just hung it with like kind of shower rods. So when she's at home, she just kind of pulls it just like a shower curtain, and she has the background so that when she's working in her closet, you actually don't know that she's in a closet. There's a lot of kind of value there.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot you can do with it, but you do want to be true to your brand as much as you can. I wanted to say your office, Beatrice, reminds me of Amy's office.
Yes,
because she has like 3 or 4 different sets. Yeah.
Beatrice, I was so excited to have you join us today, and I love the fact, and people need to understand that, especially on this type of platform and moving forward, we do need to think about. So I love the fact that you're changing things out monthly and things like that, because it doesn't necessarily mean changing the entire, like I can remove this and I actually have a wall graphic behind me and I can flip that around and add magnetics, to it, and I can, draw on it and all that. But the thing is we need to keep our stuff fresh and relevant. It's about telling the story, and that's where branding and understanding what your branding means to you and your audience, and how you can walk through those aspects and take them on the journey with you. And I love the fact that you're using, for instance, Beatrice, something that when you move, and we all should be a little more animated on these, so we don't become just talking heads, because it adds another layer and depth to building those relationships. And when you move, you're not like losing an ear or an arm. I mean, let's be honest, losing the ear didn't go real well for Van Gogh. So it's probably not going to go as well for you either. So it is kind of those fun things. And Connie, you wanted me to pull up the progression, correct?
Yes. And, as Amy and I started talking about this, I think she's going to share her screen to show this. Hers, I met with her, I think it was probably the first time when we started talking about, having an accountability partnership with each other. And her background set was flippin' gorgeous. we should have taken screen grabs of that because it was so impactful. It was the white background. It was big, these big white flowers that are white on white, 3D, 2 columns, and 1 little green plant. And she's wearing black and with her dark hair and orange glasses. It was just gorgeous. It was just gorgeous. And I was like, you know, it got me thinking about my own background and asked her what do you think about mine? And I started realizing that it didn't feel, for me, it didn't feel like I wanted it to feel. I thought it looked too homey. Do you want to pull that up, Amy? Can you
Yep.
Screen share?
Kim had an interesting question. Do you guys recommend special lighting of any kind?
Yeah, that's a thing. You gotta work with that. And you can tell here in my first one up at the top here, look at my lighting. So I actually did have a lamp in front of me too, but it was, can you zoom on that, Amy? There we go. But it's very uneven lighting. Okay, and we'll also notice my hair differences. Yes, I'm aware. But you could see it's pretty heavy contrast. I'm next to a window, and so that was coming in, and the other side of my face was super dark. But look behind me here, okay? The books, the stack of books, and I thought, you know, everybody's doing this with the bookcases, and I've got a lot of books and whatever, but it's distracting because you want to start reading. What books does she have there? I wonder if I have it. What if I should get, you know? And so it's distracting because you're not really focusing on me. You're focusing on trying to read the books in my background. And Amy said, what if you just take down that painting? And I did, and it was one of my paintings, but you really don't see the whole thing, so it's odd. And took it down, and that actually right away felt fresher. And that's the next one here in the red shirt, but it was still too homey. And like the plant was like too light and lacy or something. It just didn't feel right for my brand. And then Amy kind of took over from there.
Yeah, so it was about understanding what, you know, next to Connie in this space is the opening page of her website, and you know what was missing and what was that synergy that wasn't being shared in her story on her virtual screen. And that was the fact that she's from New York. She likes to be a little bolder, and she's an artist, and all these other things, which then led us to creating a bit more of a, we call them wall skins. So this is actually a wall skin. She can remove it and things like that. But it's so different than like the thing that Beatrice is using. But we, you know, angled her camera a little bit. We brought in some different lighting. So to the lighting aspect, you know, there's amazing light rings. I currently, right now on me, I have a 18-inch ring light. I have a box light off to the side, and then I have a window to the other side with Southern.
So I have because my window is on, oh, this just throws me the mirror. The window is on this side, right? So on this side, opposite it, I have my ring light. I don't have the ring light right in front of me, which people are tempted to do. It's off to the side to balance out the window. And then I can adjust the yellowness of the light too, if I want to warm it up a little bit or not. And then I do have a lamp on my desk. I also have, you guys know what a SAD light is? For seasonal effective, whatever. That can also add more if I want it. That's a little scary. That's too much.
I think
But
that
yeah,
the ring lights are hard when you have glasses too.
yeah, they are.
Well,
But
you
if you
know,
I kept seeing it all the time, so I've taken mine down from here
So-
and only use it if I'm in a big meeting.
so
or put it off to the side.
there is actually, you raise it above. So if you look at, I have my glasses on, if I go up, you can see them. So I know the parameters in which I should be on. The other thing is a lot of times your computer screen will also be reflective. And there is a, well, we could talk a lot on just lighting and that, but there and angles, but there is a, there's like that perfect window, and I can't think of the actual terminology that is used by photographers, especially when they're photographing people with glasses. So there is that, and it's, you know, so you have to be kind of careful of where you're looking, or, you know, take your glasses off and be blind like I could be when I am trying to look at my screen.
That would not be good for me.
Mine neither.
But while we're talking about this, I want to, and so this is the first one, Will, if you want to put this one up. It's a quote that I found from Dan Levy of Schitt's Creek. Okay, now is that somebody we all want to hear from? Yes, probably. The quote from him is, wardrobe is probably the most important element in storytelling outside of actually writing, because we as people say so much about who we are and what we believe in and what we want and what we think of ourselves by the way we dress. As was reflected yesterday in my slouchy gray sweatshirty thing, you know.
And like I explained to Connie a lot when we're talking, it's about finding I'm not asking you to be in 4-inch heels or a 3-piece suit and tie or whatever. I'm trying to have you find things that you feel comfortable in, that make you feel fabulous, because if you do, you are going to shine even brighter. Your whole energy is going to change in that. Like, think about when you are, you know, hanging around in your robe on a Saturday morning and then you switch to different clothing. I think it was back in the 1800s, we used to actually change clothes almost for every single chore. I grew up on a dairy farm. You better believe you did not wear those barn clothes past the, you know, front room of the house, which was the mud room, or, you know, the laundry. I mean, think about that. What's the first thing we did when we were kids and we came home from school but change our clothes? Like, you better get out of those because you better not ruin those. You know, I mean, think about it. You know,
in your play clothes.
I wouldn't go to the gym in what I'm wearing right now. You know, so it's thinking about those things. And like when Chris moved from the dining room table into actually having that workspace, it changed because he had a space that made him go to, just as if he was going to his car, to his actual office and things like that. So it changes our energy, and it's no different than, you know, having walking meetings. We could have had a standing meeting today. We all could have stood up and it would have completely changed our energy. And clothing does that as well. So it's about
being— here's a little trick, okay? I have maybe 2 or 3 tops that look very professional and are also very comfortable. So when I'm having one of those days or mornings where I'm just not feeling great, I'm feeling like I would rather wear a hoodie or, you know, nothing, I can fall back on one of those shirts, and that makes it easy for me. I look professional, at least from the top up. I've got yoga pants on almost, you know, every time, and my bunny slippers, whatever. Yeah, so
I love this, Connie. Don't mean to interrupt you, but Deborah
go ahead.
Posted in the chat. I love this. I would be so interested in hearing more about living on a sailboat for 15 years, and she had work clothes and get off the boat clothes to dress up. I love that.
Yeah, I actually wore out clothes. I mean, you know, living aboard a sailboat is you work. You become a diesel mechanic, a plumber, a rigger. You become everything. And I actually wore out clothes. You didn't worry about that, but you didn't want anyone to see you in your work clothes.
No,
but,
yeah.
I had play clothes when I was little, and then you had to dress up when you went to school, and yeah, I still do that. And I do want to be comfortable in front of a Zoom screen, but I wouldn't go in my rattiest hoodie that I would use in different things like that. And it does make a difference, I think. That I have dressed for this.
I think you're all giving hoodies a bad rap.
We definitely are, because there are some really super cute ones. Like Lori's, I had no idea that was a hoodie.
Yeah, I apologize. There are dress hoodies that they are
Yes.
not mine though.
But that's the interesting.
You know, I'm teasing.
That's the interesting thing with that COVID has really done, and it's evolved the athleisure. If you really look at the whole fashion aspect of things, there are some athleisure type clothes out there that actually can pass very easily, and especially on a virtual interaction, we can hide a lot of flaws and sins, trust me, on these type of platforms, and which is also kind of fun.
We put together, regardless of your environment and what you want to do with your brand story and all of that, we did put together a chart. I hope you all enjoy this. It's our Brady Bunch don'ts, okay? And I want to share my screen, and Will's going to put it up here in the chat. Oh, hang on, this is going to take me a sec.
Really
but let's talk through these a little bit. Yes, have fun with it. Go ahead and make it your play bingo with it, whatever you want to do. But let's talk about these, okay? Who has seen every single one of these? Okay, we had a lot of fun doing this, but you can see what we're talking about. The first one there, upper left, ghosting, this is when people are obviously doing something else and they're entirely ghosting the meeting.
And that's really when people see that, they're really thinking, oh, you're unengaged, you're actually not present. And we, in the last year, we went literally from an attention span of a goldfish to a fruit fly. So you wouldn't do that in an actual face-to-face meeting. So that's what we're really.
That's the whole point is that we're trying to make is, would you do this? Would you show up like this in a face-to-face meeting? And if you would, I would encourage you to take another look at your personal branding. Yes. So the eating thing, we have lunch meetings and we have those things going on. It's just, watch your manners and mute, please, mute.
It's kind of like chewing gum on top of it.
Yes.
You wouldn't chew gum in an actual face-to-face meeting with a prospect or client, or it's that kind of common sense a little bit. And then the lovely ceiling fan that I know, Chris, you are in love with ceiling fans and trying to determine what brand and style each and every one of them are. On top
how clean they are and how clean the ceiling fans are. Yes.
Oh.
Now I will share a little story about a ceiling fan that somebody was actually drying their laundry off of it during an officials meeting, correct? And yeah.
Nice.
It was a younger kid. So, and I think he was still in college, but yes, he was drying his laundry on the ceiling fan the whole meeting.
And it was
rather, I didn't pay a lot of attention to a lot of the other stuff.
The other thing too about the ceiling fan, the point here is we've all walked into meetings that look like this. And I think it's just, maybe people aren't checking themselves or I don't know, but is that comfortable to look at me right now?
Well, the funny thing is what's the guy from Tool Time? Is it the neighbor?
Right.
Wilson. I call that the Wilson. And then, of course, talking about lighting, and everybody thinks that natural light is the best. However, I'm going to tell you, it's actually not. It's the most inconsistent lighting available. So you want to be really careful about natural lighting. Hence, that's me, and that's my window, and that's how I took that picture. So
but if you have to be in front of a silhouette, Yes, but if you have to be in front of a window like that, at least shut the blinds or the curtains or whatever, and that's gonna solve that backlighting issue, get more light on you.
Or turn around for that 45-minute, 60-minute interaction. And if you're gonna be needing to, again, the only place you can work from is your bedroom, as Connie is laying on her bed in the next square, I get it. We all need to reimagine our spaces, but just like you wouldn't show up in your pajamas to a meeting, I don't want to know that I'm in your bedroom.
That's a little too much in your space.
A little bit. So all you need to do is honestly turn around so the bed, that you're facing the bed and it's not in your background. I would rather see a blank wall than know that you are laying on your bed talking to me. And then along with that is, having, life in the back. Like, I don't want to, laundry.
She's got her laundry. She's got, what, I can check out the rest of her house back there. Oh, I like those lamps, I mean.
But it's like things, and I'm obviously not engaged in that shot.
Right. And then this one drives me nuts, and it could just be a personal thing, but walking with your laptop. I would rather people turn off their video for a minute until you get to your new location and then turn your video back on. But I find this really distracting. Same with if you're going to go get up to use the restroom or get some more coffee or tea, whatever. I would prefer people personally turn off your video and your mute until you come back, because otherwise it's too distracting to everybody else. And the empty seat isn't a happy thing for the people who are presenting.
And of course, you know what, I had to do it. I've actually witnessed it. People on treadmills, their ellipticals, which happens to be, right there in my office. And it is one of those things that's highly distracting, and especially if you look like you're dying on it.
So have some fun with this. Whatever you can or are willing to do with your background, put yourself in the shoes of your audience, okay, and what they're seeing. Take a screen grab maybe, or get on a Zoom call with some friends who you know are going to be objective and honest with you, and just see what you can do to make whatever tweaks to up-level your brand story. That's the whole thing. We all need to shift our brand stories now to be more focused on personal engagement. Okay, so we have to work harder at building connections here. So it's your brand promise. Your image in this Zoom environment is your brand promise. So what can you do to up-level?
Can we use your Brady Bunch photo for our newsletter to connect your story to, connect your YouTube video to and everything? Because it really is kind of fun, and I'd love to share that. We just have a few minutes to wrap up because we're going to give Ann some time. So ladies, if you want to give us a minute so that we can have Ann talk about what she's going to be doing on the next branding call and her LinkedIn, how to really upgrade your LinkedIn profile and your branding, business branding on your LinkedIn page. So Amy and Connie, thank you. Give us a few minutes, and then Will, you can take the wrap. Amy and Connie, anything?
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for coming. I was so excited to hear Ann.
I know, me too. What happened?
I just want to make her have some time, that's all.
Yes, of course.
Thank you guys so much for having us. Connie and I are going to continue on doing these candid conversations. So make sure you follow us on all of our platforms, and hopefully we can all connect again.
These women will make a difference, even in a one short hour. I know that for a fact. And I said, let's use Will as a before and after, because if that's our brand specialist at OffiCenters, we aren't doing a very good job of branding, are we, Amy?
Oh, let's work on
You'll be
that.
getting a call.
Yeah,
You'll be
big
getting
bell.
a call.
Take it away, Ann.
Oh, you guys are hilarious. You should make a video, really. The fun of it. Just like Lori said, really fun. I just a quick poke. My name is Ann Pryor. Hi, everybody on the call. I've been an Office Center guest, I guess, for about 11 years now. So I knew Lori when she was just going into her 30th anniversary, right, Lori? And now you're 40-year anniversary. So
I can hardly remember back that far.
I do. I was so impressed to meet you. I just shook. You were like a celebrity. So, and Lori is always trend forward, friends. So I'm telling you that because I'm going to teach you some LinkedIn hacks when we meet again next month. But if I could just roll through Connie and Amy, really great tips. So as you see behind me, friends, I have 2 images behind me, and I'm very purposeful in my intention and my color that I choose. And the purple one is called Have a Beautiful Day and a Calm Day. And the one in yellow is Sunshine on Your Shoulder. And that's what I wish for the people that are on my call and are sitting in front of me and around me. So I'm sending love and gratitude and hugs out to the people that I'm speaking to because I can't see you with my eyes, right? And I just want to share with you that I have an exceptional memory. And what I realized is I remember people when I meet them for the first time. And because I'm on Zoom now, I can't remember when I've met you. And so it's really wiggling with my memory system. It's just a situation that I've realized. So if you're not memorable, I'm surely not going to remember you. And that's what our friends have been sharing today.
Or you want to be memorable for the right reasons.
Exactly, exactly. And I even choose color for the right reason as far as memory and branding pieces, as you can see. So as I'm going to speak next month, I really want to show you some hacks on how to build your brand on LinkedIn. But here's the real bottom line. I finally figured out why people hire me, and it's because they don't want to be embarrassed online. And I finally got to that, and that's what I do. Because when people come to me, they realize I'm not showing up right and things aren't looking good. So I'm going to do 3 segments when we have our 45 minutes. The first one is how not to be embarrassed online. And I'm going to show you how to build your profile to look great, be found, to get known. And a piece of that will be your company page, because most of you friends are a company, you have a company, and that's not branded either. And so I'll just talk about a few pieces there. The second thing I'm going to talk about is inviting the right people to your party, right? Because I think LinkedIn is like a huge party and we're having a ball, but the right people maybe are not at the party. And so I've got some hacks on how to find the right people and invite the right people the right way. I've got 20,000 first-degree connections. I have given them hugs 4 times, meaning before they connect with me, I reach out to them. And so the third piece is really about your authentic, influential communication and how that shows up on LinkedIn. And that's all about a part of the branding and, you know, what really you want to be known for and what people are coming to you for and what you want to say to people that adds value. Because if you don't add value, I'm going to turn you off, right? And I do. I unfollow and I hide people that are too promotional, self-promotional. So I've got some tips on that today too, actually next month. Anybody have a question for me?
You know, I'm going to say, not only do you choose your paintings, do they know that you painted those paintings? Anne's an amazing artist and really has an insight about color and feelings and everything. So she brings that to the table. Anyone who didn't know that, I just felt I needed to share a little bit of your personal, Anne.
Thank you, Lori. And I know Connie's a fabulous artist as well. And I've even taken a workshop from her. So we've got many gifts to share. And that's how I bring them to life. We overarch our brand. Sometimes it gets a little sticky, but I'll also talk about that if you'd like.
Beatrice wanted to know if you really said 20,000 people on your LinkedIn?
I did say 20,000. And at 30,000, I'm actually a celebrity and I have to have different rules in the UK. So I don't really want to get to 30,000. I'm just going to tell you that because I don't like a lot of rules.
Well, I do have to say though, Anne, you are a big deal.
Yeah.
She's kind of a
You
big
are a
deal.
pretty
Yes.
big
It's kind of a big
Kind of
deal,
a big deal.
definitely.
Oh,
And I recommend going to Anne's presentation. Do we have time for a giveaway, Lori?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
do have time. We already had the drawing going on in the background while you guys were doing the presentation. And this month our giveaway was a dual consultation from our speakers today, Connie and Amy, a dual marketing consultation, and the winner was drumroll Justina Johnson. So she's been in the call this time, and she's here at she's a member here at Woodbury Office Center, so we'll be reaching out to her with that information.
That's awesome. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. I could use it.
Well, we would love to see your face. And Beatrice, that was an awesome prop that you just had there. So it's all about adding in those little fun things. So there's the crown. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, there's crown. We got pom-poms. We got all kinds of fun things happening here today.
That is so cool.
Bobblehead Bob.
Yep, bobblehead Bob. I love fashion, so you know sometimes you'll see that in my
He
bag.
puts that up there just so I'm jealous. I want that orange purse.
Oh, you do.
We both love. We met through our love of orange too, right, Abe?
Absolutely, and my love of co-working spaces.
Absolutely. We're here for you. It's been a great year. But remember this, as you go on to other co-working spaces, not that I think any of you will, we were never closed a day during COVID. And I am so proud of my team for that. So many people just threw the keys on the desk and said, we're out of here and we'll call you when we're coming back. And we were here every day supporting those businesses, just like I've done for the last 39 years, 10 months and 2 weeks. So I've only got just a little while
Great
until my
job
real
of
40th
adapting.
anniversary. And trust me, I'm planning a bash because I think by then a lot of us will, a lot more than me will be vaccinated. So we can kind of go from there and have some fun. We deserve it after the year we've had, right, Will? Will's going to give you some breakdowns. You guys, I need to jump to another phone call. Thank you so much for your time. And it was great seeing you. Amy and Connie, thanks so much. Hope to see you all in the workspaces very soon, and we'll go from there. Will you wrap us up?
So thank you for everybody joining us today. Connie and Amy, what a great presentation and a great conversation that we all had. Really awesome presentation. So thank you again. And thank you to everybody who came. Real quick, I put the link into the chat for some upcoming events that we have. It's just our events page on our newly renovated or newly updated website. Normally we would have Park Connect on the 1st of the month, but April Fools, it's going to be the week after that. So we're going to have it on the 8th, and that's our monthly networking group. And then we'll follow it up with more events later in the month. Slice of Woodbury, which is another great networking event. And then Ann Pryor doing her PowerLunch at the end of the month in April. So we're looking forward to all of those coming soon. And thank you to everybody again, and to Amy and Connie. Awesome presentation, guys.
Can I just add one last thing? Thank you to OffiCenters for the last 365 plus days of offering us this connection with each other. You know, Beatrice being able to join us, and you know, all of us from all over the world, basically. You have done such a great job of keeping that communication and that networking and connection alive. So talk about
we know we tried, right, Aim?
Absolutely.
We really tried.
So,
Spike and I both say
job.
thank you.
Great job.
I think it's because Lori likes to party so much. She just had to keep us all going.
And I live by myself with just my dog, so there you go. I got to get you into my space somehow, even if it's via Zoom. We'll see you all soon.
Bye. Thank you all so much.
People, we just signed a new deal at France. There is a remodel in our future, and it's going to be amazing. Just telling you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.